Boys, sit down because we are at the end times. Marathon just lost 10k players over a night. This is absolutely beautiful. Marathon soon will be at its last breath. And I have to say, I'm waiting for it because Marathon never deserved to actually be a thing in the first place. So I am not gonna cry any tears that it fails. Because Bungie would have never done the series justice anyway, so it's better this way, honestly, in the long term. Maybe we're lucky and Marathon gets sold as an IP by Sony to someone who can actually do something proper with it, not these woke losers, talentless wastes of oxygen at Bungie. In any case, look at this. I told you big things are about to happen when the Monday drops, and look at this. A player peak of 44.3k players. At this rate, by Thursday, we're probably gonna be at a below 40k possibly. Or, well, in the start of the next week, definitely below 40k. Because these numbers are insane. Look at this. Look at these Monday numbers. There's only one peak also, which is the craziest thing about Marathon, honestly. It's the fact that it has. Well, it's not the fact that it has these two peaks. It's the fact that these peaks change sometimes. And it's the fact that sometimes this peak right here does not even exist. It is wild. The situation with Marathon is wild. And I have two explanations for this. One pretty likely, one not exactly likely. Guess which one this one is, by the way. Marathon has probably sold 10 million copies and it's churning through players at light speed, but no one for some reason decides to like or dislike it on Steam or whatever platform they buy it on. Yes, that's obviously the extremely unlikely scenario. The likely and funniest Marathon scenario that's happening here, by the way, is the fact that I think there's a bunch of people who are just desperately trying to keep Marathon alive. I think there's a bunch of people who are desperate for Marathon to not be an absolute failure, so they're kind of forcing themselves to play, and when they play, they get burnt out really fast. Or in general, it's just people getting extremely burnt out because Marathon doesn't have that appeal that ARC Raiders have now, does it? Because every match of Marathon, as far as I have seen, and I have not exactly seen a lot, truth be told, it seems to be the same. It's just see someone shoot, there's no talking, there's no this, there's no that. And honestly, at this point, the fact that soon we're going to have below 40k concurrent players, it's not going to have the ability that ARC Raiders has to actually create servers that are dedicated PvP and dedicated non-PvP player enjoyment things, which is going to be absolutely wild, boys. Absolutely wild, obviously. And let's look at this drop, by the way. Let's contextualize it. 44.4, beautiful number, by the way. And the previous Sunday Funday peak, which was slightly bigger than the Sunday one. I mean, the Saturday one. No, actually, no, the Saturday. I always confuse me when this thing happens when the peak is at 2. But whatever. So this was the Saturday, and this was the Sunday peak. Okay, and then this is the Monday peak. It's insane. These two peaks, very not impressive. Almost, honestly, the same. The fact that Marathon somehow manages on Friday to get its biggest peak, and I think it did all that also here before, is absolutely wild. And by the way, how much time has passed? 2 weeks and Marathon has effectively lost almost half of its player base. Actually, we're almost exactly at half here, which is honestly completely wild. That is not what you honestly want to see, especially when your main objective is replacing Destiny, right? But man, look at this. 44.4k. And the previous one was 43.6. That's almost 10k players dropped. That is wild because you need to understand. This is almost 20%. 20% is the biggest disaster Marathon has had so far, which is wild. This is absolutely great news for us, the ones who did not. Listen, I have nothing against Marathon. I wish it was a good game, but since it's a bad game, I'm all hands for it not succeeding. That's my position. I don't want bad games to succeed. I don't want things like Marathon that were literally made to be genderless and, very woke, because Bungie is a very woke company in general, to succeed, because these things are poison to the games industry. I don't want these things. Now, granted, again, it doesn't matter if Marathon just rises to 50 or even 70k concurrent players. You need to remember, Marathon's main objective, and I always have to say this sadly, is to replace Destiny. A game that, was pretty much obsolete and dead by Bungie's own accord the moment it got 50k players. And, its high was 316k, which is pretty decent, pretty nice, honestly. Very good, actually. And, Marathon is never achieving anything like this. So, Marathon looks pretty dead. And, if you look at it even further, you look at Twitter, there's nothing. There is nothing. Okay, you see? This was these are the big tweets from Marathon. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I have no idea what this is even, but there's nothing. Like, look at this. This is the Marathon official account, raving about their thief character. Let's look at it. Guys, you know the craftable item in Arc Raiders, the grappling hook? We made a class that has the grappling hook. Yes, very impressive, Bungie, very impressive. Pat yourselves on the back, give yourself a medal. You probably already did. Obviously, by the way, this is fake, but the fact that the person was crouching and slowly moving, it just shows the fact that they were not sure that they're gonna hit the target if they were running. Yeah, look at this. Wow, without core, with core, I don't know what's cores are like. I don't know, some augments, some stuff like that. Honestly, the core things is nice. The fact that you can get these items that augment your gameplay in the way that you want. It is pretty much like Arc Raiders' talent point system. But, it's nice at least that they have it. Again, not Arc Raiders, but Marathon is not a failure in every aspect of game design. It's just a failure because I want to vomit when I see this, because, my god, is the art style abysmal. And the moment the game stops fake posting about the lore, it's gonna completely collapse. But in any case, this was officially a Bungie's Marathon's thingamajig. And it only scored 133k views. That is abysmal. Because look at them, look at how much they do on average. Look at how much they do on average for a video. This is 1 day ago, 800k. Now, granted, this one is a much more different video. Obviously, this is like a full-blown cinematic, but you get the point. No one cares. No one cares. The Marathon promotion is just not working out. Like, in the slightest, honestly, even. And, well, Marathon is very slowly, but certainly dying. By the end of the week, I don't know how the numbers are going to work. I don't know if Friday is going to be 45k players. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're lucky. But at this rate, considering every Monday has been a 10 to 20% drop, there's no reason we don't expect it next Monday. Cryo Archive dropped. This was the Cryo Archive peak, by the way. And it was shit. Not a lot of people cared. Cryo Archive dropped, not a lot of people cared. No talk, no nothing. Shroud was talking about. Shroud actually likes the game. Sad. But in any case, the next Monday, if we're already not below 40k by the end of the week, Because look at this. Well, I talked about this last video. The fact that you have this, this is the 10 p.m. when things start to go up for marathon. Notice it's always the same, right? This is how statistics will work on a large scale. It's always the same. You could see that the Monday is going to be abysmal just from this statistic. 10 p.m., 22K versus, well, not even 16K. That is a lot. Now, granted, that's a 30% drop, and this was not a 30% drop, but you kind of see the symbolism in a lot of cases. And there's also things like this, but you need to remember that this is the weekend, so it doesn't effectively work the same. There's a lot of nuance. You see one line, I see 100 possibilities. So there's a lot of nuance here. In any case, Bungie just suffered 0.1% negative review increase on Steam. Beautiful. You love to see it, boys. And by the way, this one, this one, oops, here it is. This one, by the way, is 2K below what was on Monday. So the question is, do we see like a 10% dip here? There is a possibility. I don't think it's too high because we can actually see the statistics right here. This was Monday and this was Tuesday. Tuesday is actually pretty good for marathon from everything that we have seen before. So this drop right here doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be a travesty. For example, look at this. This is the Tuesday start, and it still was good, as you can see. So the drop is there is a chance it goes under 40K, but it's honestly kind of minor because it has never because the pattern has not done it like that before. There is obviously a chance because the dip here is substantial, but it's a low chance. It's probably going to be... there's actually a chance this goes for 45K people there. Well, it doesn't matter. Until the next update when Marathon does something funny. 10 out of 10. Bye.